are expecting now, with the other dialogue partners also of SCO. SCO member states are 8 in number, and it's a power-packed day at Bishkek. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the sidelines. Prime Minister had given the formula of health. This time around, building on the formula of secure that he had given last time around, the focus clearly on economic development, on connectivity, on health cooperation, on environmental protection, on fighting terrorism, separatism, extremism, radicalization. Arun Sharma, correspondent, is joining us. Arun, this is another moment that is going to go down in history. The leaders coming together for a group photograph.
Well, that's right. The SCO summit finally will conclude in a short while from now. But before that, a group photograph which will reaffirm that this SCO summit was really successful in many aspects. Now, this group photograph also gives a strong message as to how Prime Minister Narendra Modi has kept his vision of health, and this gives a message also that how Prime Minister Narendra Modi and India is taking a holistic approach as to how can, along with terrorism, or primarily the anti-terrorism approach by India, along with various approaches like healthcare facility, providing people-to-people contact, that can also be attained. And this is very much a strong message has been given to Pakistan as well, right from 2 days. I mean, look at this SCO summit, where yesterday also during the bilateral meeting with the Chinese President Xi Jinping, Prime Minister Narendra Modi clearly said that India will not tolerate any kind of terror activities, and Pakistan is not walking the talk, and the actions are not reflecting what the Pakistan is talking about, and therefore Prime Minister Narendra Modi clearly indicating that talk and terror can't go together. And today also, when under the SCO umbrella, both the leaders, that is Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan, were under one roof, the message was very much clear that terrorism can't be tolerated, and peace and stability in the region is the need of the hour. And therefore, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also talked about the RATS, or primarily extending the RATS structure, that's the regional anti-terrorism structure, that's the need of the hour. He also gave a mantra for health, or the primary vision for the health, but along with that, terrorism or RATS was the main focus that Prime Minister Narendra Modi talked about. He also highlights the importance of organizing a global event and as to identify that which are the states which are sponsoring terrorism, which are the countries which are primarily financing terror, or who all are financing the terrorist activities. All these needs to be exposed on the global arena, be it the SCO summit, be it the G20 summit, be it the BRICS summit. India has always been raising this issue of terrorism, which it is witnessing from a long time from now, in which India is also a victim of the terrorism. Now, recently, Prime Minister Narendra Modi went to Sri Lanka during his first visit, primarily from Maldives to Sri Lanka. He clearly told over here that the kind of radicalization that was done to the youngsters of Sri Lanka, and the way they committed the terrorist activities in Sri Lanka, these kind of activities needs to be understood, needs to be focused on, need to be combated at every level. And this kind of approach is the need of the hour as to how can terrorism, extremism, radicalization, these can be combated at each and every level. And therefore, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi's strategy of health does mentions about how to combat the terrorism at each and every level, and strengthening of the RATS. So that's an important and very significant part of this SCO summit, and the highlight of the SCO summits when we talk about the Prime Minister Narendra Modi at this multilateral forum.
Right, Arun, all eyes will also be on whether the ideas articulated by the Prime Minister in his intervention today at the SCO summit would find mention in the Bishkek declaration that's expected later today.
Well, that's right. Now, from the last 2 years, since India became the full member of the SCO summit, or from the SCO grouping, the ideas or the vision that's being generated, or that's been kept by Indian side, or primarily the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, has been kept in the joint declaration. I mean, most of that has been kept in the joint declaration, and this time around, the kind of vision that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has kept of health, that means India is talking about the health for all. So India is also presenting a case study to the globally all the countries, the way successfully Ayushman Bharat has been launched here in India, the way we are providing quality health to people. People from Central Asia are coming to India for treatment because of the quality health that India is providing. So in this context, India is a big case study. India is setting a big record as far as the quality health is concerned. Second important aspect is sources of alternate energy, which India is boasting as of now, because of the fact the International Solar Alliance, which this is the idea of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and many Central Asian countries are part of the International Solar Alliance. So if in case India is looking for, combating climate change, if in case India or Prime Minister, the world is looking for combating climate change, it is very much important to focus on green energy. And India is playing that role of the global leader, because the way USA is going away from its responsibility of being a developed country to take care of the climate change activities or to take care of, the activities which focuses on the controlling climate change, India is coming forward and looking for the ways as far as the green energy is concerned. So the mantra of health, that also highlights the important aspect of alternative energy. That is also very much likely to be on the agenda as Prime Minister Narendra Modi talk about physical connectivity and the people-to-people connectivity. This is the idea that was much appreciated by all the global leaders, because all the global leaders talked about these two aspects. That means connectivity, that's the physical connectivity, and of course the people-to-people contact. Because the major challenge between the Central Asian countries, India, Pakistan, China, is that there is a language barrier at every level. So how can this language barrier between India and the Central Asian country, India and China, India and Russia, can be removed? So when Prime Minister Narendra Modi talked about literature part, that means how can literature and cultural and literature exchange can take place, the people of Central Asian countries can know what exactly the culture of India. An important announcement being made by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the tourism website, the foreign, the SCO tourists who are coming to visit India, if they check the tourism website of India, they'll be in a position to get a translation or a translation of these tourism websites in the Russian language. This also gives a sense that how India is committed to provide people-to-people contact at each and every level. Now these are small steps, but these make a strong impact on the global arena as far as the SCO multilateral forum is concerned. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, look at the body language that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is showcasing right from yesterday when he met Chinese President Xi Jinping, he met Russian President Vladimir Putin, and now interacting with the global SCO leaders. The kind of enthusiasm, the excitement, and of course the kind of body language the Prime Minister Narendra Modi is showcasing, it gives a clear message that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is having a mandate of all the countries, the support of all the countries, that the kind of vision India is presenting is the way forward for maintaining peace and stability of the SCO region, and that's the need of the hour as far as the SCO region or the SCO grouping is concerned. The vision, the mission primarily, the vision primarily presented by Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Absolutely, we're standing by for that Bishkek declaration to be out soon, and we'll be watching closely on whether the vision of the Prime Minister has by and large been reflected in that document. Well, thank you, Arun. We'll keep coming back to you for more updates. And more news from the SCO summit. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi was the second speaker to address the plenary session at the 19th SCO summit. He shared a health mantra with the gathering. The acronym HEALTH stands for healthcare, economic cooperation, alternate energy, literature, terrorism, combating and humanitarian cooperation.
हम सबका विजन हमारे क्षेत्र में हेल्दी कोऑपरेशन को मजबूत करना है। हेल्थ शब्द के अक्षरों से हमारे सहयोग के लिए एक अच्छा टेम्पलेट बन सकता है। H for healthcare cooperation, E for economic cooperation, A for alternate energy, L for literature and culture, T for terrorism, free society, H for humanitarian cooperation. H for healthcare cooperation, SOP 2019-2021 के लिए हेल्थकेयर कार्ययोजना पर हमें जोर देना चाहिए। भारत को टेलीमेडिसिन और मेडिकल टूरिज्म के क्षेत्र में अपने अनुभव साझा करने में खुशी होगी।
While sharing his recent visit to Sri Lanka in solidarity with the Eastern Sunday attacks, the Prime Minister said that countries sponsoring, aiding and funding terrorism must be held accountable. He also called for a global conference to combat the terror menace.
पिछले रविवार श्रीलंका की अपनी यात्रा के दौरान मैं सेंट एंटनी में एक चर्च गया था। वहां मुझे आतंकवाद को उस घिनौने चेहरे का स्मरण हुआ जो हर कहीं कभी भी प्रकट होकर रोज मासूमों की जान लेता है। इस खतरे से निपटने के लिए सभी मानवतावादी ताकतों को अपने अपने संकीर्ण एकजुट हो जाना चाहिए। आतंकवाद को प्रोत्साहन, समर्थन और वित्त प्रदान करने वाले राष्ट्रों को जिम्मेदार ठहराना जरूरी है। एससीओ सदस्यों को आतंकवाद का सफाया करने के लिए एससीओ रेड्स के तहत सहयोग की पूरी क्षमता का इस्तेमाल करना चाहिए। भारत आतंकवाद से निपटने के लिए एक अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर के सम्मेलन का आह्वान करता है।
Prime Minister also shared his vision for economic cooperation to further strengthen the situation insofar as peace and stability is concerned regionally and also further regional and global interests.
E for economic cooperation, आर्थिक सहयोग हमारे लोगों के भविष्य का आधार है। एक पक्षपात और संरक्षणवाद ने किसी का भला नहीं किया। हमें विश्व व्यापार संगठन पर केंद्रित एक नियम आधारित, पारदर्शी, भेदभाव रहित, खुली और समावेशी बहुपक्षीय व्यापार प्रणाली की आवश्यकता है। इससे भी सभी सदस्यों, विशेष रूप से विकासशील देशों के हितों को ध्यान में रखा जा सकेगा। भारत एससीओ सदस्यों के सदस्य देशों के बीच आर्थिक गतिविधियों के लिए अनुकूल वातावरण बनाने पर तेजी से काम करने के लिए प्रतिबद्ध है। हम महत्वपूर्ण समझौतों पर हस्ताक्षर करने जा रहे हैं। इनसे एससीओ में वित्तीय मामलों में और डिजिटलाइजेशन और आईसीटी में सहयोग मजबूत होगा।
Prime Minister also spoke of the efforts being made by the SCO to ensure peace in Afghanistan.
SCO क्षेत्र में स्थिरता और सुरक्षा के लिए शांतिपूर्ण, एकजुट, सुरक्षित और समृद्ध अफगानिस्तान एक महत्वपूर्ण कारक है। हमारा उद्देश्य अफगान लेड, अफगान ओन एंड अफगान कंट्रोल समावेशी शांति प्रक्रिया के लिए सरकार और अफगानिस्तान के लोगों के प्रयासों का समर्थन करना है। हमें खुशी है कि एससीओ अफगानिस्तान फ्रंट ग्रुप के फर्दर एक्शन का रोडमैप तैयार हुआ है।
He also highlighted the steps needed to tackle climate change. PM Modi underlined India's efforts in renewable energy sector and India's commitment towards meeting preset goals regarding climate change.
एक for alternate energy, जलवायु परिवर्तन से निपटने के लिए भारत की प्रतिबद्धता हमारे दर्शन में निहित है। जो पृथ्वी को माता के रूप में मानते हैं, आज भारत अक्षय ऊर्जा का छठा और सौर ऊर्जा का पांचवा बड़ा उत्पादक है। अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सौर संगठन भारत की संयुक्त पहल है। इसका उद्देश्य और ऊर्जा की लागत कम करने के लिए प्रौद्योगिकी और वित्त जुटाना है। हम इस पहल में एससीओ के देशों का स्वागत करते हैं और ऊर्जा के वैकल्पिक स्रोतों को विकसित करने में अपना अनुभव साझा करने के लिए तैयार है। आज हम एससीओ के अंतर्गत एनवायरमेंट प्रोटेक्शन के लिए वर्ष 2019-21 में सहयोग के कंसेप्ट पेपर पर सहमत हुए थे।
The 19th SCO summit is underway in Bishkek in Kyrgyzstan. This is the second SCO summit after its expansion in 2017 when India and Pakistan joined as members. This is also the first multilateral summit that Prime Minister attended after the elections. President of Kyrgyzstan, Jeenbekov, received the leaders with a traditional handshake. This was followed by a group photograph before the leaders headed in for a restricted meeting. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had a pull-aside meeting with Belarus President Alexander Lukashenko on the margins of the SCO summit. The two countries share common goals of development and cooperation in the region. And for more perspective on the SCO summit and all that's happened today as well as yesterday, we have with us Veena Sikri, former ambassador. Welcome, Ms. Sikri, to Midday Prime. How do you see India's contribution to the SCO summit? We became a full member of the SCO in 2017. Last time around in Qingdao, the Prime Minister had given the secure formula. This time around, he's given the health formula.
I think the first point is that India takes its cooperation with the SCO, its membership of the SCO organization very seriously. It's vital, it's important for India's foreign policy interests, national interests and global interests. The SCO has members who are India's northern land neighbors, and it is vital that we are a part of the work that SCO has already been doing on issues like terrorism. And this is why the entire participation in the SCO, the way it is handled in the Ministry of External Affairs with the utmost priority, has shown has been reflected in Prime Minister Modi's speech at the SCO. I think this time he has focused on the area of health for a unique purpose, because this area of health makes SCO real to the common man in Kyrgyz Republic and other Central Asian members of the SCO. Health is vital for the people of this area. They have a deficiency in healthcare and they look to India very seriously. They visit India very often for health-related issues. So it is a very interesting way in which the Prime Minister has formulated this interest of the public of the Central Asia in health with other aspects like alternate energy, terrorism cooperation, economic cooperation and even literature. So this integration of all aspects of the work that SCO is doing is of vital importance. I think Prime Minister's reference to terrorism and to saying that any country which has been supporting or taking part in these terrorist activities must be identified and isolated. This is very important because it shows that India will not hesitate to state its position on this vital issue of terrorism. It has a very good resonance among the SCO countries. They all are victims of terrorism. They all give terrorism the highest importance, and in fact the SCO structure called RATS, the Regional Anti-Terrorism Structure based in Tashkent, is a reflection of the high importance which the SCO countries give to terrorism. It gives a forum, an institution where real-time information is exchanged on issues of terrorism, and India's participation in this is very vital.
Ms. Sikri, since you are referring to the T in health, which is tackling terrorism, extremism, separatism, etc., which the Prime Minister mentioned in his health formula, we know that the Prime Minister has now once again proposed a global conference on tackling terrorism. He had made that suggestion in Maldives while he was addressing the People's Majlis of Parliament there, and he also said that states who abet terrorism need to be held accountable. This comes on the back of what the Prime Minister told President Xi yesterday, that India has walked the extra mile insofar as improving relations with Pakistan is concerned, but Pakistan has not reciprocated. It hasn't created the atmosphere that is conducive for talks. How do you see this reflected in today's declaration in Bishkek?
Well, I think there will be high priority certainly to the issue of terrorism, because as I said, that this is something which is of common interest. It's not only India's vital interest, but in an organization like the SCO, we find that it's the vital interest of everybody there. So obviously this will be an issue which will be reflected in high priority. But I do hope that the Prime Minister's focus on healthcare and the integration of health, a very real people initiative, into other aspects of cooperation, even renewable energy and terrorism cooperation, will be appropriately reflected, because it gives a purpose, a way to reach out the SCO activities, to reach out to the common man, and also make the issues of India's importance reflected in the interaction and the regional cooperation with these countries. I think that in addition to this, we would have seen even in the bilateral meeting which Prime Minister had with President Xi Jinping and President Putin, that these issues were all reflected.
Absolutely.
This is very important.
Ms. Sikri, on the issue of connectivity, the Prime Minister said that all connectivity projects should be based on transparency and respect for sovereignty. We know that this is an indirect reference to CPEC, which is part of OBOR. Most of the 8 member states of SCO have signed up on that. India has not. India had made it clear even last time that we will not be a part of OBOR because we have our sovereignty concerns with regard to CPEC. Where do you see connectivity projects headed? The Prime Minister referred to the Chabahar port, the Ashgabat agreement. He talked about the international north-south transport corridor as well.
Well, you know, India's position on OBOR is a principled one, and we have reflected it very carefully, stated it very clearly, and we have not participated in either of the two OBOR summits that have been held in China. I think we are very clear on this, that there cannot be a compromise on national sovereignty, and we will not, we do feel that OBOR projects have to be much more carefully formulated, taking into account national sovereignty and taking into account the fact that it must be a fair and transparent and equal development of projects which benefit both the country which is giving the money and the country receiving it. So this is very clear. But having said that, I think the issue of connectivity remains vital for India's participation in SCO and in the interest of all the countries of this region. And here is the question of the Chabahar port, and this alternative approach to connectivity, which is now recently started and is now developing very well. So we hope that Iran and India and all the other countries, particularly Afghanistan and other Central Asian countries, will very soon be able to participate clearly in the access to the Indian Ocean provided through the Chabahar port, and with this the trade will increase, the people-to-people connectivity will increase, and all that the SCO is talking about will become very real. So I think connectivity remains very important. Connectivity has many dimensions. It is people-to-people, physical connectivity, financial connectivity. You must have banking links with other countries. It has all kinds of, you know, education connectivity. There are 8,000 Indian students studying just in the Kyrgyz Republic. So this is the way in which we have a meeting of the minds by developing connectivity all around.
Absolutely. That was about connectivity. If we talk about the E in health, and that is economic cooperation, the Prime Minister supported a WTO-based free multilateral economic order that takes into account the interests of developing countries. Is that how the Prime Minister has navigated the trade war that we are seeing between the US and China, and between US and a few other countries as well?
Yes, most certainly. I think this having a free, having a fair economic, equitable, fair, inclusive world economic order has been one of Prime Minister Modi's very important aspects that he's been focusing on, and certainly India's response on OBOR, for example, is a reflection of this. And I think that here, when you look at it and you look at this concept of free trade agreements, here it is vital, because trade is one vital way where both countries or both regions in South Asia and Central Asia region can develop mutual stakes in each other's prosperity and growth. And this is where having the facility of a free trade system, of a fair multilateral economic order is vital. Now this is, having said that, we have to develop the connectivity issue before you can do it. How can you trade if you are only allowed connectivity by air and you haven't developed the other aspects? And as you know, even by air connectivity, countries like Pakistan have tried to prevent it by stopping Indian aircraft from overflying. So I think that this focus on free and fair access, on equitable access, on no one country trying to prevent artificially the development of trade and other links is vital, and it has come out in our Prime Minister's speech as well.
Ms. Sikri, the A in health stands for alternate energy. The Prime Minister pointed to how India is the 5th largest generator of solar energy and the 6th largest generator of renewable energy as a whole. But the Prime Minister also talked about ISA, which we know is his brainchild, and he said that the idea behind ISA is to ensure that we have cheap, efficient, environment-friendly energy, and to have the technology and finance for developing countries to be able to develop solar energy, which was, he said, the basis of ISA itself. And the Prime Minister said that India is willing to share its expertise insofar as solar power generation is concerned. So again, would you say India contributing to energy security, which is renewable in nature, which is more environmental friendly within the SCO grouping?
Yes, definitely. I think the whole concept of the International Solar Alliance, in which our Prime Minister played a very active role at the Paris Climate Change Summit, this has been reiterated, and also the principles of the Paris Climate Change Summit. And I think the inclusion, the access that has been offered to the Central Asian countries for alternate energy is vital, because there are many countries like the Kyrgyz Republic itself where they don't have oil resources and access to easy wealth through oil resources. So offering them this alternate route, offering them the technology, offering them the participation in the ISA, and then through that giving them the development and maybe credits and credit lines and so on, this is vital. This will make it very real. And in countries like the Kyrgyz Republic, you have very far-flung groups of population very far away from the main centers of population. Even in Kazakhstan and other countries, you have such widely diverse groups of population. So alternate energy is vital for them. It's an easy access, and India is willing to offer this, to include them. It's a new approach, and I think the people of the Central Asian republics will see how India, through this approach of alternate energy and health, is reaching out to the people, finding ways and means that will make the cooperation with India real to them, meaningful to them, influence their lives, give them a better prosperity and development prospect.
Well, thank you, Ravina Sikri, for discussing with us the pertinent aspects of Prime Minister's intervention at the SCO summit in Bishkek today. Let's move on now. State-run healthcare services continue to be severely affected in West Bengal for the fourth consecutive day today, with junior doctors continuing their strike in defiance of Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee's ultimatum to join work. Doctors across the nation are protesting over violence against their colleagues in West Bengal. The Indian Medical Association has declared All India Protest Day today against the incident and expressed solidarity with the striking doctors. Resident doctors at All India Institute of Medical Sciences or AIIMS in Delhi are protesting over violence against doctors in West Bengal. Western Doctors Association of Safdarjung Hospital is also holding protests, but emergency services are not affected. Around 4,500 resident doctors in Maharashtra stayed away from work today in solidarity with the ongoing junior doctors protest in West Bengal. The Maharashtra Association of Resident Doctors, or MARD, has said that junior doctors at government hospitals in the state will not perform surgeries or attend to outpatient departments or OPDs between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. on Friday. Meanwhile, Union Minister for Health and Family Welfare Dr. Harshvardhan has expressed concern over the recently reported incidents of violence against doctors in Kolkata. Strongly condemning the violence, he said that it is necessary and important for doctors to get a safe work environment. He stated that he shall take up this matter with the chief ministers so that such incidents can be avoided in future. The Union Minister has appealed to the doctors to ensure that essential health services to the people are not disrupted.
Madam Mamata Banerjee, Chief Minister of West Bengal, I will also write to her. I shall also write to all the Chief Ministers as well as the Health Ministers of the country and request them to ensure that all the possible measures are taken so that a cordial working atmosphere is maintained within the hospitals and the health institutions in the country between the patients, the health workers and the doctors. I am also appealing to the doctors to please resort to other simple, symbolic methods of conveying their protest rather than resorting to strike.
And our correspondents are joining us now. Anibrato is joining us from Kolkata. Anibrato, what is the latest with regard to the protests by resident doctors as well as interns, several junior doctors as well in many government hospitals in Kolkata?
Yeah, Munmun, as you know, people who belong to the different strata of the society, it's not only the political leaders, but people who belong to different strata of the society and of the people of the civil society. They are fervently appealing to the striking doctors to withdraw their strike and to sympathize with the agony of the patients they are suffering for the last 3 days. But striking junior doctors are resolute and they are steadfast to their demand, and they are saying until and unless Chief Minister apologizes to them and promises to them that the necessary steps to be taken so that they might not be humiliated in future, they won't withdraw their strike. When it was asked to them when they are likely to withdraw their strike, they said until and unless they get this assurance from the Chief Minister saying they will continue their strike even for 40 days longer. So you can understand what the situation is prevailing here in West Bengal. Although situation is limping back to normalcy because emergency ward has started functioning, but OPD is still easier to function because because there is lack of strength there. And what happened? The doctors are saying, striking doctors, they are saying that the Chief Minister's ward particularly aggravated the situation. When Chief Minister gave them ultimatum to withdraw their strike within 4 hours time, and otherwise they are asked to vacate the hostels. That certainly they said that they are taking it very sentimentally because it is undermining their status. So they will continue that strike until and unless their demands are made. They are demanding that the security, armed police forces to be deployed at the hospital premises, and the government is to bring change in laws so that they get the safeguard henceforth. They are saying that earlier this thing they had to face this similar situation earlier, but it didn't cut the ice. Even if they vehemently asked government to take steps, but it didn't cut the ice. So this time they are resolute and will continue the strike even until and unless the demands are made. Munmun.
Ayubrato, you are saying that the battle lines have hardened, but does that mean that there seems to be no middle ground going forward, and will this agitation then continue? Because you are saying that the doctors have taken exception to the attitude that Mamata Banerjee showed yesterday, where she gave an ultimatum to doctors to resume work within 4 hours or face action.
Yeah, as you know, because when Mamata Banerjee yesterday visited SSKM hospital, thereafter when he found before her eyes that the patients are lying on ground and doctors are not expressing their sympathy to the agony of the patient, might be she had loosened her temper. Thereafter she said something there, and doctors are saying, or the people in general are saying, that certainly exacerbated the crisis, because thereafter doctors moved to Raj Bhavan and they put the 4 points demand to the governor. Governor thereafter appealed the Chief Minister to intervene into this issue. But yet we find that certainly some of the developments have taken place meanwhile, because emergency wards are functional in the medical college hospitals and in other peripheral areas also. But the overall situation has not yet improved.
Absolutely, Anibrata. We'll keep coming back to you for more updates through the day. And now let's get an update from Nirman Bhavan, where the Union Health Ministry is in Delhi. Nitendra, correspondent, is joining us from there. Nitendra, what kind of role has the Health Ministry decided to play in this situation? Is it acting as a crisis manager of sorts?
देखिए, हेल्थ मिनिस्ट्री का सिर्फ यही रोल है कि वो राज्यों को पत्र लिख सकते हैं, मुख्यमंत्री को पत्र लिख सकते हैं, ताकि वहाँ के जो डॉक्टर्स हैं उनको सुरक्षा मुहैया कराया जाए। डॉक्टरों की टीम जो एम्स के रेजिडेंट डॉक्टर थे और सफदरजंग के डॉक्टर थे, उनकी प्रतिनिधिमंडल आज केंद्रीय स्वास्थ्य मंत्री से मुलाकात की और उन्होंने सारी उनके अपनी मांगों को रखा उनके सामने, और स्वास्थ्य मंत्री ने उनका आश्वासन दिया कि मुख्यमंत्री ममता बनर्जी से वो टेलीफोन पर भी बात करेंगे, उनको पत्र भी लिखेंगे। इसके अलावा जितने भी मुख्यमंत्री हैं उनको पत्र लिखे, और गृह मंत्री को भी वो बोले कि हम पत्र लिखेंगे और उनको बोलेंगे कि सुरक्षा लॉ एंड ऑर्डर का जो मसला है, खासतौर पे डॉक्टर की सुरक्षा को लेकर के, उसको इंश्योर करें। केंद्र का सिर्फ यही भूमिका हो सकता है कि ये राज्यों को पत्र लिख सकते हैं और उनको बोल सकते हैं कि उनको अच्छे माहौल दिए, तभी डॉक्टर एक अच्छे इलाज कर सकते हैं, और भय के माहौल में इलाज में दिक्कत आएगी। कल जो मुख्यमंत्री ममता बनर्जी का जो बयान था, उन्होंने जिस तरीके से धमकाया था डॉक्टरों को और उनको बोला था कि आप काम पर लौटिए नहीं तो कार्रवाई होगी, उससे और डॉक्टर भड़के। पूरे देश भर के डॉक्टर इसमें नाराज हुए और जिसका नतीजा बन गया एम्स में भी ओपीडी में और आईपीडी में कोई काम नहीं हुआ, सिर्फ इमरजेंसी और इमरजेंसी सर्जरी को छोड़ करके रूटीन सर्जरी भी नहीं हुई। तो आप समझ सकते हैं कि महीनों तक लोग लाइन लग करके और अपॉइंटमेंट 6 महीना साल भर का लगता है, एक सर्जरी की डेट मिली और आज सर्जरी नहीं होना कितनी बड़ी दुख की बात है। मरीजों को बहुत ज्यादा नुकसान, उनको परेशानी का सामना करना पड़ रहा है। 2 बड़े अस्पताल हैं केंद्र सरकार के, और फोर्डा के तहत कल दिल्ली सरकार के जितने भी सरकारी अस्पताल है उनके भी डॉक्टर कल काम पे नहीं रहेंगे, खासतौर पे जो रेजिडेंट डॉक्टर है वो काम पे नहीं रहेंगे। तो निश्चित तौर पे एक मरीज की इलाज से बहुत ही एक दुख की खबर है कि उनको इलाज नहीं मिल पाएगा, दूर दूर से लोग आते हैं। और सबसे बड़ी चीज है कि जो डॉक्टर है वो अपनी मांग को लेकर अड़े हुए, उनको प्रॉपर सुरक्षा दिया जाए, उसके लिए अलग स्पेशल एक्ट बनाया जाए, कानून बनाया जाए। और इस भरे जो धमकाने और मारने के अंदाज में जो काम होगा, पिछले 1 साल से इस तरह से इंसिडेंट हो रहे हैं, तो वो लोग कह रहे हैं कि इसको सरकार की तरफ से हमें सुरक्षा मुहैया कराई।
Nitendra, have emergency services been impacted in any way in most of the government hospitals in Delhi?
नहीं, तमाम इमरजेंसी सर्विसेज चल रहे हैं। आईसीयू में भी रेजिडेंट डॉक्टर काम कर रहे हैं और इमरजेंसी जो सर्जरी है वो भी काम कर रहे हैं। इसमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। सिर्फ ओपीडी में और जो प्लांट सर्जरी है, जैसे मान लिया महीनों से पहले डेथ किसी का मिला हुआ है, तो उस सर्जरी में केवल रेजिडेंट डॉक्टर काम नहीं कर रहे हैं। निश्चित तौर पर सीनियर डॉक्टर और जो भी प्रोफेसर है और असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर है, फैकल्टी है, वो काम कर रहे हैं। और उसके अलावा बाकी सर्विसेज है।
Right, Nitendra, thank you for those updates from Delhi. It's a major relief for the people of Gujarat. Chief Minister Vijay Rupani has declared closure of alert for cyclone Vayu. The Chief Minister has even ordered shifting of persons back to their homes. Schools and colleges will open from tomorrow.
पिछले 3 दिन से वायु साइक्लोन की जो परिस्थिति निर्माण हुई थी, आज क्लियर हो गया है कि वो साइक्लोन अरबी समंदर में पश्चिम की ओर जा चुका है। गुजरात पूर्णतः अब सलामत और सेफ है। सरकार ने फैसला किया है कि जो हमारे सीनियर मिनिस्टर, सीनियर सचिव, यहां से गांधीनगर से जो लोग स्थिति को निपटने के लिए 10 डिस्ट्रिक्ट में भेजे थे, उन सबको दोपहर के बाद हम वापस बुला रहे हैं। लाइट की जो स्थिति थी, 2000 से ज्यादा कंप्लेन आई थी, अब सिर्फ 150 कंप्लेन हम लोग उसको मरम्मत कर रहे हैं और शाम तक रिस्टोर किया जाएगा। रास्ता सब साफ हो गया है। एसटी पुनः रोड ट्रांसपोर्ट स्थापित कर दिया गया है। पोर्ट एक्टिविटी कल सुबह से चालू हो जाएगी और शाला कॉलेज ये 10 डिस्ट्रिक्ट में जो बंद की गई थी, सब स्कूल कल से कार्यवाही उनकी नॉर्मल कर दी जाएगी।
And now correspondent Senthil Rajan is joining us from Veraval in Gujarat. Senthil, we heard the Chief Minister say that there is a closure now of Cyclone Vayu alert and that schools would be opening from tomorrow and colleges as well. What is the ground situation that you are seeing there in Gujarat and the weather situation also?
Well, Munmun, as per the Chief Minister, the red alert for cyclone has been withdrawn, and the district administration has been advised to send back all the people who have been evacuated. But as per the latest IMD briefing which has happened in Ahmedabad, the IMD has given a clear warning that the cyclone Vayu continues to be a very severe cyclonic storm. The only good news is that it is still in the ocean, and hence all the fishermen are still advised not to go out to the sea. The great danger signal 9, which was hoisted in most of the ports along the Porbandar coast, continues to remain, and hence the big takeaway which was there in today's afternoon briefing is that the fishermen are still advised not to go out to the sea. As far as the other part is concerned, the good news is that cyclone Vayu has also brought in a good amount of rain to the Saurashtra region. Nearly 70% of Saurashtra region has received good rainfall today, especially Talala in the East Somnath district has received almost 160 millimeter of rain. Sutrapara has received 145 millimeter of rain. So one positive news out of the cyclone Vayu is that the Saurashtra region has brought in a good amount of rain, which augurs well for agriculture in this region.
Will the focus be now on restoration of services and getting people back to their respective homes?
Well, definitely the district administration has already started taking steps for evacuating the people back to their homes and moving them back to their homes. The state government has also decided to give cash doles to the people who were evacuated for the last 2 days. Adults will be getting around 60 rupees and the children around 45 rupees. So that is a sort of a small relief, that the cash relief that the state government has announced for all the people who were evacuated. In addition to that, schools and colleges will also reopen. And further, as you just heard the Gujarat Chief Minister saying, there were nearly 2,000 complaints regarding power breakdowns, out of which more than 1,800 have been already sorted out, and only remaining around 100 and 150 complaints are still pending, which are being attended to, and hopefully all power supply in all the affected areas will be restored.
In post-cyclone situations, Central, we see that a central team comes to assess damage and then financial assistance is given. Do we expect that exercise to play out in Gujarat as well?
Well, definitely the Gujarat government has said that it will send out teams to assess actually the exact nature of the damage. But if you look at it, since the cyclone did not cross the coast, but though there was not so much of damage, but still the heavy winds that persisted has led to some damage. Several trees were uprooted. Some places there was uprooting of power lines also, and some people have also, those who are living in kacha houses have also been affected. Hence, the state government has announced that surveys will be conducted by the district authorities, following which reports will be submitted, and based on that, appropriate compensation will be given.
Thank you, Senthil, for those updates from Gujarat. Following reported rise in cases of acute encephalitis syndrome from Muzaffarpur, Union Health Minister Harsh Vardhan met the Health Minister of Bihar. The Union Health Minister has suggested that there is an urgent need for mounting extensive awareness campaigns, especially in the high vulnerable districts, so that the parents, caregivers and the community in general are sensitized to the need for taking the children for timely treatment to nearby primary health centers before the child gets critical.
बिहार के स्वास्थ्य मंत्री हैं, वो स्वयं दिल्ली में आकर उन्होंने सब बातों की इस पिछले 5-6 दिन में ये दूसरा अवसर है जब स्वयं वहाँ के स्वास्थ्य मंत्री उन्होंने आके हमसे चर्चा की है, और मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि अगले कुछ दिनों के अंदर इस तकलीफ से हम वहाँ के प्रदेश के बच्चों को एक प्रकार से निकाल पाएंगे।
And now correspondent Salman Haider is joining us from Patna for more. Salman, bring us up to speed with the latest situation. What is the kind of death toll now, and what kind of interventions are being made by the central government as well as the state government to help the situation come back to normal?
The situation has further worsened, and as many as 6 children have died due to acute encephalitis syndrome since last night, and the total death toll is 56 as of now. The central team that has come here for taking stock of situation has gone back to Delhi, and they have recommended awareness among the masses, as most of the cases are due to hypoglycemia. And their blood samples have found that in their blood samples there was increased level of hypoglycemic A, which is mainly due to not taking night meal by the children. The children are from lower economic strata, and very often they sleep without any food. And that is the case here, because in most of the cases, hypoglycemia is found to be the main cause of this encephalopathy.
Right, Salman, can we expect then awareness campaigns to be launched sooner than later?
Yes, awareness campaign has already begun here. And they have been, all the PHCs have been advised to treat the patient as a primary aid, and then thereafter to shift them to any referral hospitals if the need arises.
But most of the cases it is hypoglycemia, so the people are being advised to take care of their children and so that they have enough food, nice food before sleeping. And this is the situation right now we are in.
Right. Thank you, Salman, for those updates from Patna. Union Health Minister Prakash Javadekar, Union INB Minister Prakash Javadekar addressed the CII Council meeting in New Delhi. While addressing the media, the minister said that there is a requirement to ensure more transparency in government procedures. He said that new experiments are being done under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
I can promise you that we not only want to reduce the days of government processing the applications, but also make processes more transparent, best practices of the world, taking care of environment and also ensuring progress. इसलिए नए प्रयोग करते हुए हम मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में एक ज्यादा कार्यक्षमता से काम करने वाली एक पारदर्शी सरकार देना चाहते और वही हमारी नीति है, वही हमारी रणनीति है.
Union Minister also said that cohesive environmental solutions along with research and innovation will increase the value of the nation.
प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में बनी सरकार उद्योग और सबके साथ काम करना चाहती है और पर्यावरण की रक्षा करते हुए विकास भी सुनिश्चित करे, इसके लिए काम करना चाहती है और इसमें आपके सुझावों का स्वागत है.
And now in Midday Prime, it's time for all the news and updates from the world of business. My colleague Nancy Kohli joins us now with the latest on the business front. Nancy, relief on the inflation front?
Yes, absolutely, and that's what we're beginning with the Munmun with some good news really on the prices front. The wholesale price-based inflation has dropped to a 22-month low at 2.45% in May. Now, this is primarily owing to low food, fuel and power prices. The WPI-based inflation was at 3.07% in April and 4.78% in May last year. The WPI inflation data for March has been revised downwards to 3.10% from provisional 3.18%. Data also released earlier this week showed retail inflation spiking to a 7th-month high of 3.05% in May on costly vegetables and protein-rich items. And pre-budget consultation meetings are continuing. Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is meeting, in fact she met today with the social sector experts, and in the evening today the Finance Minister will be meeting the economists. The Finance Minister also met with the financial sector and capital market executives on Thursday morning and held another meeting with the experts in infrastructure and climate change in the evening. She will be presenting the budget for 2019-2020 on the 5th of July. An update from the markets now. The Sensex has slipped 150 points to 39,599 and the Nifty fallen 58 points to 11,855, tracking negative global cues amid rising crude oil prices. And that's all the business news this afternoon. Munmun, it's back to you for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Nancy, for that. And now let's have a look at what's making news across the globe. Iran's foreign ministry has dismissed as baseless U.S. accusations of being behind attacks on 2 tankers in the Gulf of Oman, adding Washington was trying to sabotage diplomacy. This comes after U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo accused Iran of being behind Thursday's attacks, which left at least one of the tankers ablaze off the Iranian coast while the crews had to abandon ship. The US military had on Thursday released a video, it said, showed Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps removing an unexploded mine from the side of one of the two oil tankers attacked earlier in the day, damaged in an attack in the Gulf of Oman on Thursday. The Trump administration announced today that White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders will step down from her post at the end of the month. Sarah Sanders called serving as Press Secretary the honor of a lifetime at a White House event just minutes after the president announced her departure. Australian Brenton Tarrant pleaded not guilty on Friday to 92 charges stemming from a massacre in two mosques in the New Zealand city of Christchurch 3 months ago and will stand trial in May next year. He appeared by video link from a maximum security facility in Auckland while his lawyer entered not guilty pleas on his behalf. The accusations against him include one terrorism charge. The lone gunman armed with semi-automatic weapons attacked worshippers attending Friday prayers in Christchurch on New Zealand's South Island on 15th March, killing 51 people in the country's worst peacetime mass shooting. The attacker broadcast the shooting live on Facebook. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern introduced tough new firearm laws banning semi-automatic weapons after the attack, which also wounded dozens more people. In sports news, England and West Indies will resume their traditional rivalry when the two sides face off again at the 2019 ICC World Cup game in Southampton today. England won the toss and skipper Ian Morgan opted to bowl. The Universe boss will be backing himself for an encore against England, whose bowling attack has become more potent with Archer's addition.
England will take on West Indies in a mouth-watering clash in the Cricket World Cup on Friday. Badly stung by a Test series defeat in the Caribbean in the winters, they are still smarting over the 2-2 drawn ODI series that followed as the Windies' big hitters and fast bowlers left their mark. The Windies are the only side in this World Cup that hosts and favourites England have failed to beat in their most recent series. Barbados-born Jofra Archer, who has played in the under-19 for West Indies, is now a part of the English team. He will be up against some of his old teammates and even schoolmates for the first time in international cricket, means the stakes couldn't be higher. There will be plenty of pace on show at Hampshire's Rose Bowl. England will face a West Indies side who bowled out Pakistan and Australia in their two completed matches in the competition. In their other game, they had South Africa at 29 for 2 when rain ended the contest. In O'Shane Thomas, Andre Russell, Sheldon Cottrell and Shannon Gabriel, they have four seamers capable of testing the best of the batsmen with the short staff. England have certainly had their problems with pace, but with Archer as well as Mark Wood in their side, they can hit back with more than enough of their own. England have a clear edge over the West Indies when it comes to World Cup and lead 5-1 in 6 completed games. After the surprise defeat to Pakistan, England got their campaign back on track with a dominant victory over Bangladesh at Cardiff.
Restrict England, let's just say.
The Windies have impressed in thrashing Pakistan and losing narrowly to Australia. Their hopes of beating South Africa were washed away by Rains, who continues to play spoilsport to many a game in this tournament. It is likely to rain at the Rose Bowl, and a chunk of this match could be affected by rain, and Duckworth Lewis could have a role to play on Friday night. Amit Kanojia's report, DD News, England.
And on that note, we come to the close of this edition of Midday Prime. News and updates will continue on DD India and DD News. Stay tuned.